So hello and welcome to another Michigan Military Technical and Historical Society Museum vehicle restoration update. Weather broke here in Michigan and got a chance to come out here in the garage and work on our M151. As you can see, I've got the NTAC missile launcher pretty much dismounted. I just need to get it out of here. You can see the rubber isolating mounts that it rides on. I originally wanted to just leave those alone, but based on the amount of rust that's started around and under them, and the fact that we have some dissimilar metal issues here, we have a weird mix of steel and aluminum, and I don't know what some of these other alloys might be. So you get some crazy corrosion that's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and dismount these. So I'm going to do that while we got this hanging from the gantry here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it kind of suspended so I can get to these and try and get them off. I suspect these bolts are all just going to snap, and then we'll get this all cleaned up and stop the rust and all that. So down here, this frame actually mounted to these aluminum panels. There's one on each side. This is the one on the passenger side. I haven't put it away yet. The one on the driver's side I already put up in the storeroom just to get it out of the way. This one here, I still want to get these off. At first I wasn't entirely sure what they were, but I believe these are in fact the plug-in receptacles for the actual guidance system for the missile. And then over here we have a box that was the actual launch box. There was 4 missiles, and there was a box in there with 4 cable adapters and the cables that went out to the individual launchers. We have the box, and we have 2 of the 4 cables. Back here we figured out how to get all this out. Over here there was a box that contained the 3 warheads. I think if you watched the previous videos, we talked about how you had a launcher that had 4 missiles on it, but you only had 3 reloads. So there was a box over here that carried the 3 additional warheads, and then the frame that carried the 3 additional rockets was down here. And then there was a long thin box that went along the back that I assume had the batteries or just parts in it. Still trying to find a manual that talks about what went where, and I have had very little luck. Both of these boxes were aluminum, so you can see you had some dissimilar metal corrosion, and plus this thing was sitting outside for a large part of its life. Just junk collected underneath things and between things. So we have a substantial amount of rust where those 3 boxes were mounted. Sad thing is the rest of this rear floor is in really nice shape. It's just so we're going to have to figure out how we're going to address that. So again, the underside of a French NTAC ATGM. You see how many people have had a chance to look at that. I don't know, but there it is. One of the cool things, and we'll wrap. So these are some of the brackets. So underneath the rear fenders, there's a bunch of reinforcing plates that they put in to mount the missile system. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how those are put in, and take them out very carefully so I can make sure they go back in the right places in the right order. But there's a whole bunch of angle brackets and things, and then they also had these guys under here, and it's kind of interesting. So I'm thinking this was a standard mount that that the French used on the Hotchkiss M201, and definitely the Canadians used on the M38A1s and M38s. But you can see these aluminum spacers have these slots milled in them that line up with the grooves on the back of the M151. So I'm guessing these were made specifically for this application. And then there's the spacer, floor spacer that went on the passenger side. And then this floor spacer that went on the driver's side that is machined here. It goes this way. And that allowed this thing to sit on top of the gas tank flange, which is, I figured out why I had such a hard time getting the gas tank out, is because the entire missile launcher kind of sat on top of it. So slowly trying to, so now I'm going to tag all these parts so that I remember where they go and all that good stuff. One of the cool things is the original data plate that normally lives on the passenger side rear fender well, and because that missile launcher was kind of mounted over the top of it, it has survived in remarkably good condition. And I just had to kind of clean it up a little bit, and nice and shiny that thing is on the backside still. And it was kind of a cool, and it's one of those things that kind of gives you a little bit of motivation on the project like this, because I'm honestly, I'm now at the point of the really just push this thing out in the street and forget about it phase. And those of you who have done a project like this will understand that you reach the point where you're just like totally overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that needs to be done. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, because just there's everything is just it's just a disaster. I've been wanting to get this thing broken down because I got the show coming up in the military vehicle show in Findlay, Ohio, coming up next week, and then about a month from now the MVPA Nationals in South Bend, and I want to head out to those shows with a solid shopping list and start looking for some of the stuff I need to finish this thing. So I really just want to get the assessment done, and then my real goal, I want to get back over there, and I want to try and get that Clark bulldozer finished this year. So once I get my shopping assessment put together on this thing, I might rearrange some things and kind of slide this guy back into a corner, and maybe just kind of putz with it this summer, slowly, work on a couple of things. But I really want to get back on the bulldozer. Sitting out here outside the door, you can see the 880 is back from storage. I got it cleaned up as well as I could today. For those of you who've been following that, we have entered into an agreement with Drive 1 in Roseville, which is a vocational high school in Roseville. And for the 22-23 school year, so September of this year, that truck is going to be going over there to their program for a full restoration. So I'm going to be taking this thing out to a couple of shows and events, try and raise awareness, raise money, and see if I can get some people to give us some of the parts we need. We've had this truck now for about 4 years, I believe, 3 or 4 years. So I've collected a lot of parts for it since we got it. So I have a bunch of stuff already, a lot of sheet metal, but there's a lot of little things we're going to need, So that's going to be another. So I've got a lot of things going on this summer. A lot of irons in the fire, as it may be. Our 151 that I don't know. I have to show some kind of progress on, because that's part of the agreement with our loan from the Army. So I'm hoping that if any of you are watching, Army people, we are working on it, and we're trying to make it look like something. But there's a lot of work here. So. And a lot of money is going to be involved in doing this. So we'll figure that out. And then the 880 out there, if anybody wants to help us with that project, please let us know. I think it's important to encourage the next generation of technicians and mechanics and hobbyists, and what better way to introduce people to the military vehicle restoration hobby than to give them a military vehicle to restore. So if you've got some 880 parts, or just 77 Dodge W200 parts, let us know. I mean, we're going to need, brakes, suspension, steering, probably an engine rebuild kit, all the rubber, tires. Well, everything you need to restore a truck. So we got to provide that to the school, so they're going to do the labor. So, and then got the cut V. I have to get it out and wash it. It's just a little dusty, but I've had it out, took it around the block a couple times. It's still running pretty good. So hopefully we'll be able to take it out. And then over there, kind of covered up with a bunch of sheets, is our Clark CT6, which I have entered or registered for the Military Vehicle Preservation Association National Convention in South Bend. So we went out this week and we bought a new trailer. Longtime followers of the museum might remember that we had a trailer many years ago, and somebody decided they needed it more than we did, and one day it was gone. So we went out and this week and we bought a new trailer. So in fact, I got to go get plates for it Friday. Another thing on my list, my to-do list. So, and then we're going to load this guy up, and we're going to take it out to the Nationals and see what people think of it. And hopefully they like it. So pan around here one last time. We'll end with our M151 again, and send me some motivational words to keep me from keep me moving on this thing, because it's getting to the It's definitely getting to the overwhelming part of the project. So I guess that's from when I'll stop babbling. Looks like I've been rambling here for 12 minutes. So everybody have a good night, and I'll post you another one of these when I get some more work done. I think the next thing is going to be pull this power pack out. So once I do that, we'll maybe do another video. So y'all have a good night.